Slowing your heart rate down? Consciously, deliberately, whenever you want? That may sound impossible right now, but CIA operatives are able to do exactly that. And that skill changes everything about how they perform when it matters most. It isn't any kind of superpower. It's a protocol. The CIA's stress inoculation protocol. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how it works and how to train it efficiently. Many do it absolutely wrong. Let's get right into it. Most people picture CIA training as weapons, languages, disguises, the cinematic stuff. And sure, that exists, but there is a part they don't show you. The part that actually separates functional operatives from people who freeze. This happens in a much more secretive environment. The secret meant here is called stress inoculation. And it's not a concept. It's a structured, repeatable training protocol. The core idea is pretty simple. Fear is a system. And like any system, it can be worked with. But CIA didn't invent this out of nowhere. They are not the only ones that use it. Military units, emergency surgeons, elite athletes, they all use variations of the same principle. But the CIA formalized it, turned it into something teachable, something transferable. They structured it so it's actually pretty simple to learn. And here is the point of this video. Not only explaining the whole protocol and techniques, but also providing you guys with insiders, and especially do's and don'ts. That is important, as you will see in the course of this video. And here's the first problem people have right when they start. They think the goal is to feel no fear. It isn't. The goal is something far more interesting than that. But we'll get to that. First, you need to understand what actually happens inside your body when pressure hits. Everybody has noticed that their heart rate went up at least a few times in their life. Your vision narrows. Your hands shake. Thoughts start to get unclear. But don't be scared right away. This isn't weakness. This is biology doing exactly what it was designed to do thousands of years ago. The moment your brain detects a threat, real or just perceived, it sends a signal. Adrenaline floods your system. You stop to think. Instead, your body starts to take the lead. The brain stops working as usual. In the wild, that's survival. That makes sense, right? However, in a high-stakes meeting, a difficult conversation, or a moment where clear decisions matter, it works against you. Here's the part that changes things. That alarm system has an override. It's not a hack. It's not a trick. It's a direct line built into your nervous system. And when you know how to access it, you can interrupt the panic response before it takes over. And here's the best part. The CIA figured out how to train that override, deliberately, repeatedly, until it becomes automatic. If you've ever frozen when it mattered, completely locked up when you needed to think clearly, now you know why. And more importantly, there's a reason it doesn't have to stay that way. Now we get to the most interesting part, the core of this video. And it's simpler than you'd expect. The first tool is breathing. More specifically, controlled breathing patterns, sometimes called box breathing. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold that for 4 seconds. Then exhale for 4 counts. And hold again. Repeat. That's it. It sounds almost too basic to matter. But there is a catch. The difficulty in learning it effectively. We will discuss this soon. But before that, you have to know what's actually happening underneath. You're directly influencing your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs from your brainstem down through your chest and abdomen. It's a major part of your parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for bringing your body back to calm. When you control your breath in a deliberate, rhythmic way, you're essentially sending a signal through that nerve that says, the threat is manageable. Stand down. Your heart rate responds. Your thinking clears. Not instantly, but faster than you'd believe, and that's the point. The second element after breathing is deliberate exposure. CIA training doesn't just teach the technique, it practices it under actual stress. Trainees use these tools while under pressure, not before it. That's the inoculation part. Repeated exposure to controlled stress while applying the protocol. They do this until the response becomes wired in. The third piece we have got is cognitive reframing. Not positive thinking, that's different. Cognitive reframing is about reinterpreting what the physical sensations mean. The elevated heart rate, the adrenaline. Instead of reading those as panic, Trainees learn to read them as readiness, just a small shift. But neurologically, it changes what the brain does next. 3 tools: breathing, exposure, reframing. Used together consistently. That's the protocol. That's the key to pressure control, like the Navy SEALs. Inoculation, not elimination. Here's the part most people miss. And honestly, most self-help content gets this completely wrong. The goal of stress inoculation is not to feel nothing. Operatives aren't fearless, by far not. They feel the same biological response as everyone else. The difference is that they've been trained to remain functional while that biological panic response is happening. Think of it like a vaccine. A vaccine doesn't prevent your immune system from reacting. It prepares it to react correctly. Stress inoculation works the same way. You're not removing fear from the equation. You're building enough tolerance that fear no longer controls the outcome, no longer controls you. That's a different goal entirely, and it's a more honest one. Because the truth is, zero fear is not the target. The target is fear present, performance intact. Because zero fear often means you're not paying attention, or you're just not intelligent enough to notice the danger. What this means for you? You're probably not preparing for a field operation. Or maybe you are, who knows? But whatever your case or situation may be, your nervous system doesn't know that. So same biology that kicks in for a CIA trainee kicks in before a difficult conversation, a public presentation, or a hard negotiation. The stakes are different. The system is identical. So the protocol scales. Box breathing before a stressful moment isn't a wellness trend. It's a direct intervention in your physiological state. Reframing nerves as readiness isn't a mindset game. It's changing what your brain signals to your body next. However, there is one big problem to that. People skip one part, the exposure part. Like you, they learn the technique. They are ambitious enough to follow channels like this, ambitious enough to watch this video actively. They want to improve their life, but they never practice it under actual pressure. They use it only when things are calm. That's like only testing a fire extinguisher when there's no fire. The protocol works because it's practiced in the conditions it's meant for. How? Start small. Deliberately put yourself in mildly uncomfortable situations and use the tools there. That's where the wiring changes. We started with a simple situation, someone slowing their own heart rate down, on purpose, at will. That's not a trick. It's the result of understanding your own system and training it, deliberately, over time. The CIA didn't discover some secret. They just took something most people ignore and made it a priority. The body's built-in override. You have the same system, the same nerve, the same override. Everyone has the same foundation. The question isn't whether this CIA technique works. The question is whether you'll treat your own stress response as something trainable, or just something that happens to you. Don't let your surroundings control you. Instead, control them yourself. Start with the breathing. 4 counts in, 4 hold, 4 out. Do it the next time pressure shows up. Not before, during. That's where it begins.